In a world of magic, Princess Elian flies above the Lumbrian kingdom with her winged cat. When she was about to join her friends, they later saw a flare go up, which they quickly understood. Her friends feel terrible that she must return to the castle so soon, and claim they will see her at her birthday celebration. She turns them down and explains that they will celebrate with just the family this year. Elian returns to the castle, greeted by a flustered Nazara, the royal family's minister. Nazara apologizes for calling her so abruptly and explains that the king and queen request an audience, which is code for entirely different things. It turns out that her parents, King Solon and Queen Elsmere, have been turned into monsters, and that they only listen to Elian. She quickly handles them when they try to eat Minister Bolinar. She explains that it all happened last year when the king and queen ventured into the dark forest of eternal darkness, when a whirlwind of pure darkness suddenly appeared, turning them into monsters. Since then, Elian has stepped into her role as the princess, worried their secret will be uncovered. Her retainers are impressed that Elian has never complained despite their situation. Suddenly, the army's general seeks an audience with the king and queen. Bolinar claims they can't keep it a secret forever, but Elian worries about what the general would do if she ever found out. Nazara panics that they have used every excuse they could think of, to which Bolinar shows off, claiming himself to be the Minister of Communication. After sending her away, Elian retreats back to her room, exhausted from all the secrets. Suddenly a horn blows, announcing the arrival of the royal postmaster. He claims that he has returned with a response from the oracles of the sun and moon when she sent them a letter asking for their help. According to the letter, the oracles of the sun and moon will visit them to observe her claims, which coincidentally occurs on the princess's birthday. Later that night, Nazara has had enough after being demoted from a highly respected retainer to building a monster poop scooper. She claims the kingdom can only hold itself together with a real leader. Bolinar worries that they can't keep the secret forever. With Elian turning 15, Nazara claims this could solve everything very well. She explains that with the princess coming of age, they can set the stage for her to become the new queen of Lumbria. While the ministers are scheming, Elian walks in and claims that she has the answer to breaking the spell placed on her parents. She explains that the oracles finally answered her letter and that they would break the spell for her. Bolinar states that should it fail, the kingdom would still need a real ruler, suggesting she become their queen. Elian wonders what will happen to her parents, and he explains that they would send them to the country to be free to do whatever they please. Elian agrees under the condition that they try the oracles first. The next day, Elian celebrates her birthday with only her most trusted advisors, who worry their secret will be uncovered if she hosts a big party. They even go to dress up her parents, even though they're monsters. As promised, the oracles of the sun and moon arrive on a giant toad, which Princess Elian quickly greets. The oracles were surprised to discover that they were actual monsters when they thought it was just a metaphor. Sunny claims they must act fast, or her parents will remain monsters forever. When he asks for the wand, Ludo claims that he traded the wand for a magic fob. He explains that instead of needing different wands, he traded them all for a magic fob that does everything. The queen swallows them up before they can reveal how to break the spell. Although she spit them back out, the king chased them away, and they escaped in the giant toad they came in. Despite her frustration, Elian considers Zanera's proposal and asks her to handle the preparations for her to become queen. Later that night, she brings cake to her parents, feeling sorry for shouting at them, but they ignore her. The next day, Elian wakes up with a commotion outside and realizes she forgot to lock the cage last night. She chases them into town, where they are rampaging throughout the kingdom. When the army corners her parents and turns their weapons at them, Elian runs to their side and reveals they are her parents, the king and queen. Zanara corroborates her claim, but when her parents were fighting with each other, Elien got hurt, which pushed the soldiers to capture them. The general explains that once Elien assumes the throne, they will send the monsters to the far reaches of the world where they cannot hurt anyone. The next day, the general orders her men to escort the monsters outside the kingdom. Elien worries about what would happen to them and thinks up a plan with her pet Flinks. She later discovers that Flinks swallowed the magic fob from the oracles and used it to escape. As instructed, Elien uses the magic fob on the soldiers, causing the cages to walk on their own and escape with her monster parents. The general discovers that they are escaping and furiously chases after them. Although the gates are already closed, Elien uses the magic fob to clear a path. The general then sends Zanara and Bolinar on winged cats to chase after the princess. Bolinar claims that they are trying to rescue her, but she refuses. When she doesn't listen, Zanara drops Bolinar on top of Elien to try to convince her. Elien and her parents climb a giant tree, but when Bolinar falls, she is surprised that he and Flinks switched bodies. They lose the army when Bolinar uses the magic fob to clear a path, and they fall into the forest. Elien, Bolinar, and her parents safely land on the ground and discover they are already inside the dark forest of eternal darkness. Bolinar worries about returning to his original body, to which Elien reassures him that the oracles can fix everything. When they have no idea how to go about searching in the forest, Bolinar catches the scent of someone cooking pasta in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, a giant owl flies away, revealing the oracle's home, which is hidden as one of its eggs. Elien quickly meets with the oracles, thrilled about them finally breaking the spell that turned her parents into monsters. She then returns the magic fob, hoping they would use it to remove the spell, but Ludo explains that their magic can't turn them back. Elien wonders if they know anyone who could help them, but Sunny and Ludo claim that only the king and queen can break the spell. When Elien loses hope, Ludo and Sunny explain that her parents are monsters because they have lost the light in them and need to be replaced. Ludo tells her they must reach the Lake of Light, which is atop a mountain, following the beacons of light that guide them to it. Following the light, Elien, Bolinar, and her parents discover they must pass through a huge log. They find a magical place that turns their sound into physical objects. They were playing around when Bolinar's negative words took on a physical form that bounced off the walls and hurt the king, to which the two then started fighting. When she tries to stop them, a negative feeling hits her, and they then stop fighting, having realized that Elien got hurt. Elien gets frustrated at them for always fighting that her negative feelings summon the darkness. They stopped arguing when they realized that their fighting had caused harm to their daughter, and the darkness retreated. When they get outside, Elien is surprised that the king and queen can now talk. Although they still have no memories of her, it was relieving to know that they could understand and communicate with her. They then continue their journey following the beacon of light towards the Lake of Light. When they finally arrived at the top of the hill, Elien was disheartened when a beacon of light did not appear. They waited all night for the beacon of light, to which they bonded, watching the stars in the sky. The king and queen claim that bits and pieces of their memories resurface, but they quickly fade away. Seeing her sad, the queen finally remembers her name, which Elien embraces, and a beacon of light suddenly appears. Elien, Bolinar, and her parents arrive at a desert with a family of winged cats nearby. Elien discovers what Bolinar is scheming and stops him from leaving a trail that leads back to them. As they cross the desert, they later realize they are sinking like quicksand when they are under a shadow. The queen quickly pulls her to her side and claims they will take the long trip worried for her safety. The king argues that it would be faster if they went straight ahead. As she is forced to pick which side, suddenly, the army catches up to them. As they chase them through the desert, the darkness slowly creeps up from behind and summons violent winds that stop the army from advancing and force a baby winged cat to be stranded, which they save together. When the skies clear up and the darkness retreats, the army returns, persistently intent on catching them. Elien claims they need to escape without being seen, so the king entrusts her to the queen while he stays behind to buy them time. Grateful to Elien for saving its baby, the family of winged cats helps them escape by creating a sandstorm to block their pursuers' vision while they escape. Having lost their pursuers, Elien and her parents pass through a cliff with massive rock formations. When she gets distracted trying to comfort Bolinar, they get separated from her parents. Lost in the middle of nowhere, they suddenly see eyes emerge behind the shadows. They then come out of hiding, and they discover hundreds of flinks. Bolinar claims this is basic diplomacy, where they share a meal and gain their trust. In exchange, they will help them return to their companions. Bolinar was appalled by the idea that he had to be the one to eat the worm. He claims that although he describes himself as having done adventurous eating, this is definitely different from what he would eat. The flinks then roll it into a ball and hand it to Bolinar, who was initially disgusted by the idea until he tasted and enjoyed it. The flinks then take Bolinar to their underground colony to briefly meet their king, before helping them catch up to their companions. After passing through the cliff, they arrive at a clearing where a herd of winged cats tends to their young. Seeing her play with the young ones, the king and queen finally remember Elien and reunite as a family. Bolinar was surprised that Elien was right and that the king and queen were still in there despite being monsters. While they reconnect with their daughter, Elien sees the Lake of Light just over the mountains. Elien, Bolinar, and her parents finally arrived at the Lake of Light, and in good time. While she and Bolinar bask in the light, the king and queen are distraught when the light retreats. Suddenly, the light shows them how their arguing lured the darkness and turned them into monsters. They finally realize that their anger consumed them and caused this to happen. When Elien invites them to join her, her parents try to explain that things are complicated. The queen claims that their arguing was the reason they turned into monsters. Although they want to become humans again, her parents claim they can't be their old selves who keep arguing. They try to explain to her that they can't be together as a couple anymore, like the way it was before. Hearing things won't be the same, Elien breaks down and lashes out at them. She tries to explain how she selflessly had to fill in for them, disregarding her feelings while caring for them. Elien claims she had to grow up on her own and was alone when she needed them. She is frustrated that her parents were only thinking of themselves and fails to think of her own feelings. Her negative emotions draw in the darkness, which swallows her. They try to reason with her, but Elien worries that if they have fallen out of love with each other, she fears that they too will fall out of love with her. The king and queen try to save her, but the army catches up and catches them. They bound their mouths, put them in cages, and pulled away from the darkness that had caught Elien. Worried that Elien is missing, Zanara and the general search the area while Flinks, in Bolinar's body, led the guards with monsters in tow. Bolinar returns to her fellow Flinks and asks for help rescuing the king and queen. The Flinks surround the army, and although their attacks aren't lethal, they slow them down long enough for Flinks and Bolinar to free the king and queen. The general returns to her soldiers, but before securing their prisoners, the queen breaks free and orders them to lower their weapons. Worried for their daughter, the king and queen explain that Elien is caught in a storm and urges them to help save their daughter. Elien sees flashes of the past and grows frustrated as she keeps hearing his father's words, saying they can't return to how they were. The king and queen call out to her, worried that the darkness slowly turns her into a monster. The king runs up the mountain, breaking the cliff together to pour the lake of light over her. Elian was touched to see her parents give up on the only chance of turning them back so they could save her. With the darkness gone, her parents apologize for forgetting her and leaving her to tend to herself. They then sincerely tell her they love her, which they warmly embrace. Suddenly, a bright light shines, and her parent returns to humans. Everyone was happy to see their king and queen return, and Bolinar and Flinx then returned to their original bodies. A year has passed since then, and Elian hurriedly returns to the castle after seeing a flare shot in the sky. Zanara explains that the king and queen requested an audience with her, but it was later revealed to be only a ruse to get her back to the castle, where the king and queen prepared a surprise birthday party for her. The entire kingdom is invited and celebrates Elian's birthday. Even the oracles show up at her party and claim they are proud of her. The king and queen get her a new saddle for her birthday, claiming that Elian never got to spend more time flying as she did while stepping into their shoes for a year. Although her parents now live in separate castles, Elian is glad to have her parents back, and her life returns to normal, flying into the sky with her friends. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.